Extract 12. Vincent Frankenstein. Date 1800s. I have now been home for 2 days. It has been joyous beyond anything I thought I could feel. The lows and pains of all I have experienced recently have made the opposing emotions far more intense and beautiful. The pinnacle of my joy is being able to feel the warm embrace of Mary once again. Like my joy, my love is ever the more intense for all that has occurred. As for her health, she had one set of tests while we were away, and still no clue as to why she has had such painful headaches and fainting. She insists everything will be fine, and it will pass. I cannot help but be concerned. For her sake, I try not to burden her with my anxieties. I just make sure she knows I love her and try to make sure she rests. But she is ever busy and working hard on various projects, including gathering support for equality for women in our misled society. When we arrived back in England, John tied the Zeppelin to the church tower, and we made our way to my home. I paused before entering, and took a deep breath as I looked to my lost arm for a brief moment. From behind, I felt John's comforting hand on my opposite shoulder, and I opened the door and entered. The moment the door sounded, I heard a faint gasp, and footsteps rushed from the living room to my left. Within seconds, Mary appeared. She flung open the door, and we beamed at each other, reunited. She ran to embrace me, but paused before she flung herself on me, as she saw my deformity. We both sobbed, and as we gently embraced, she kissed me, soft and sweet, and for a while we stayed locked in each other's arms, never wanting to leave one another again. Finally, I remembered John standing to the side patiently. I moved my arm from Mary's back, and she reluctantly took a step back. "I'm glad you're home," Mary said, to break the silence. "As are we," John replied. "It has been a perilous journey, but we have been successful in our task to stop the matriarch and those who would follow her, those determined not to change their ways like you once did." He smiled warmly at Mary. "It's time to rest now and enjoy the peace of being home," he said to me. I nodded and walked to the living room and slumped in the large wing-backed chair. Exhaustion and weariness crashed over me before I could even ask Mary about her health. The next thing I remember is waking up the following day, about midday, to Mary sitting opposite me as she read a book. As I stirred, she put the book aside and came to sit with me. I moved the blanket she had put over me the previous night, and she curled on my lap, her head against my chest, and we sat together in silence for a while and enjoyed the knowledge we were together again. "You have been so brave," she finally said, and I shook my head. "I have been afraid and a coward at times, but you gave me courage, knowing how strong you had been in your life. We give each other strength, and that's what we have fought for, and will continue to fight for when we can. But for now it's time to rest, as John said." "Did he tell you everything?" "Yes, we spoke last night as you slept. It is a story of many horrors, but I know Anne and the children will be safe on their world, and that you did the right thing going with John to correct the ill-favoured choices of your father. His greatness and brilliance wasn't tempered in his youth, and the consequences have been grave, but it's over now." "Well, that chapter is over," and she smiled gently. "When you are ready, I have many ideas for achieving our own kind of greatness and gaining the support for equality we both see as needed. We will learn from all that has happened, and in time people's eyes will be opened to a better balance for everyone, and for all within our society. We will do it together," I said, as I kissed her head. "How has your health been?" "I still have the pain and feel faint when I do too much, but I am well. The doctors still couldn't find anything, so I'm sure it's nothing. Please do not worry." "I do worry," I replied. "We will get to the bottom of this and help you." "I know, but for now, let's rest." We sat there for a while longer, and I realized I needed to stretch my aches and pains, so we made lunch together. Not long after this, John returned from his Zeppelin steed. "It is with regret that I must leave shortly and report to the Scriptorian Council before I keep my promise to visit Connor," he said, grabbing a plate of food and stuffing it into his leather bag. "I will be back, though." The reality of his inevitable departure hit me hard. I had spent so much time in his wonderful company, and we had experienced so much together that I had grown accustomed to it, and to him. He was like a brother to me now, and the idea of his parting hurt so much. For now, life must go back to the relative simplicity it once had been before all of this. But I know life will never be that simple with the goals Mary and I have. I know the coming months will be hard too, as I try to adapt to the pains I feel in my body and mind. I will hide my pain as best I can from Mary, to know I can lean on her for support, and gain strength from her love and comfort. I just don't want to feel weak around her, for all the things I can no longer do. But I'll do my best to accept my infirmities. True strength is from within, and she is strong, therefore I will be strong.